Hello all, welcome to today's podcast. And in today's podcast, we'll be looking into an interesting topic on CMMI. And we have the chief editor or chief founder of Provide Systems today, Mr. G. N. Reddy, who would be walking us through all the CMMI journey. What does organizations need? Who needs it? What are all the common pitfalls you have during our CMMI conversations? And without much further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce Mr. G. N. Reddy here. Hi Reddy, pleasure meeting you. Welcome to the show.
Hi Sumar, good morning. Pleasure meeting you. Good morning everyone. So today, before going to CMMI, first we'll have introduction. So myself G. N. Reddy. So I'm the founder of Provide Systems. Provide Systems is a CMMI Institute partner. We are authorized to perform these CMMI appraisals across the globe. We have 2 decades of experience in CMMI. So we have wide experience in implementing the CMMI across the industries, across the regions in China, US, India, Canada, and other locations. So with this experience, I would like to give some inputs to the audience about how the CMMI works for the industry.
Excellent to know that. And based out of your decades of experience, could you also help us to understand more on what is CMMI, or what does people need to know about CMMI, just over a coffee conversation? If you want to educate somebody across a coffee conversation, how would you describe CMMI?
Okay. So first, CMMI is a acronym. CMMI stands for Capability, Maturity, Model, Integration. So initially, this model was developed. CMM. It was called as earlier. It was CMM. It was developed for the Department of Defense in US for their software development activities. Later on, it was rolled out for the public use, and later on they developed some other models for the system integration and other domains. A CMMI has converted into CMMI, Capability, Maturity, Model, Integration. Earlier it was only for the software industry. Now it was later on they moved into across the industries, not just for the software. Across the different industries like finance, banking, automobile, every industry they can implement to improve their processes in the organization. So CMMI is a process framework.
Right.
It helps you to improve the development of their projects or services, delivering of services. So what is the CMMI? So you might have heard different compliance standards in the industry, like that. There is something called ISI mark. So that is given for a product.
Right.
So means the product which you use with ISI mark is considered as a quality product. Means that is a product based standard. Whereas CMMI is a process based. So if you follow this process, you will be getting a quality product by following this process. The CMMI based processes, you will be getting a quality product from that particular organization. So CMMI is not certifying any product of the organization. CMMI is certifying the process followed in the organization to develop any product or delivering services from the organization.
Perfect, rightly summed up. So since it's now predominantly focusing on the process related across the organization, how relevant is it today in the rapidly evolving landscape?
See, for the rapidly developing industry, the process is very much important. Because why? Why the process is very much important? In the rapid development phase, say for any organization, there are 3 pillars: people, technology, and process.
Right.
Okay. So in the rapid development, people keeps changing. Okay. The tools, every day there is a change of version of the tools and new tools are coming. Okay. So in these 3 pillars, these 2 pillars are keep changing. So there is one binding force to keep these 2 pillars together in the organization is process. Irrespective of people and irrespective of technology, the organization has to run. It should not be dependent on one person. So to bind these 2 other pillars, process is the one thing which makes today one person was performing the activities in this organization. It may be replaced by other person. When a new person comes also, you should be having a similar output. So that's where CMMI still holds valid even in the rapid changing times also, because process is one thing which holds, irrespective of changes of the people, changes of the technology, organization has to sustain reliable solutions, reliable services. That's where the process will help you to deliver the repeatable success in the organization.
Right.
So that's where, irrespective of the changes of the times, process holds value in the industry.
So you mean to say that's why CMMI has stayed relevant even after so many years, even after all these inventions and all these upgrades?
Yes, exactly. As rightly you said, see, CMMI was there from 1980.
Exactly. So it's crossed multiple decades now.
Decades. Still, this many years. So there are so many frameworks out there. Still, CMMI is considered as one of the premium certification because the process, the rigorous, the intents of the process followed in the CMMI model is still valid. That helps a organization to move from a ad hoc nature to a maturity model. So it will be maturing step by step. It will help a organization move from a ad hoc nature of work to a streamlined, matured version of delivering the services or developing the products in the organization. That way, it helps to move from one step to the other step in delivering the services to the organization.
Right. So when you said or it helps organization to move from ad hoc to a continuous compliance mode, there's a common myth today that CMMI is only applicable for software industries. Your thoughts on that?
No, it's not right actually. See, CMMI can be implemented to any industry. See, actually, we have some of our clients who are not related to software alone.
Right.
We did last year one client, they are into engineering services.
Okay. Are they based out of Europe or?
They are in US.
Okay.
No, they are in Boston. So they provide some engineering services to the federal contractors, to the federal. So they deliver some engineering structural services. Still, they want to improve their service,
Right.
deliver their services, reliable services to the clients. So they followed CMMI and they successfully achieved a CMMI level 3.
So it's a classic case of people not belonging to the software domain, but they still need CMMI.
They still follow the CMMI and successfully achieved actually.
Wow, nice to
So
hear.
in a field of engineering services, where actually they develop the designs, implement, and they do the structural development. So they have a huge requirements. I was very stunned to see a requirement document of a structural company having 1,000 pages of requirement document.
Oh, that's huge. Okay.
And they have very detailed designs. They followed a very good validation mechanism. They have a very good integration process while they are developing, they are performing their structural development activities.
Right. So nice to know about these basics now.
Yeah. So it's unlike a software, even a staffing services organizations. So staff augmentation. So we did a couple of clients for the staff augmentation where they are performing the CMMI and these engineering services. And we also did for some proposal development. Actually, they do proposal development to the clients. Even those companies also has implemented as part of developing a proposal development, not a software.
Okay.
Proposal development itself is considered as their development activities. They implemented CMMI development practices and they successfully achieved the level.
So they focus on one niche area and then move on
For
with.
their area, they want to improve the process for their area of development activities.
All right.
So CMMI can be implemented not just for software companies, it can be implemented in any sector. It may be in a banking sector or so we have one more, so we are working with one bank in Tanzania. So they are also implementing the CMMI.
So now you mean to say the requirements are across continents,
Across continents.
not specific to a certain geography.
See, whoever wants to improve their process, they are using CMMI as a
Baseline. Okay.
okay, to improve their processes. Okay, so this will help you to improve all their development. Means a project in the organization. It may be a software development project, or it may be a proposal development, or it may be a construction related or engineering services, any type of. So as part of their developing that particular product, they can follow like what type of requirements they are collecting, how good they are collecting the requirements, how they are transforming those requirements into a design, how they are developing that design into the implementation, and what type of verification and validation activities to check these requirements are implemented in the project. Okay. And how we are delivering these services or products to the client. So CMMI helps to track how all the requirements are converted into a product and delivering to the customer.
Excellent. So now we have covered the basics, right? So if I may move on to the value part. So if you want to understand the value part, okay, as an implementer or as a decision maker across organizations, how would CMMI help me to understand the value? There is also a myth today. People say CMMI is full of documentation. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. See, CMMI has got a documentation. I will not deny on that, but it's not like a full of documentation. So what is the purpose of documentation is it helps you to repeat the implementation of process.
Right.
So when when it will become successful is if a process to be repeated, you need to document because it cannot be in one person mind. If that person leaves the organization, you are also losing the process. To avoid that one, you need to first document the process, and you need to ensure that this process, whatever is documented, it should be trained and followed. For that, there is a set of documentation like the policies, procedures, and you have some templates to implement this process. Okay. Yes, there is some documentation, but that is not the complete part of the CMMI. CMMI documentation helps to repeat the process implementation and institutionalization. If you want to institutionalize this process across the organization, you need to document. Without document, it will not happen.
Right.
You see, like if you want to see the history, if you are getting some of our Vedas or any other old scriptures, if someone was written on the some part of documentation, that's how we are able to read.
Okay, so you reproduce that and you refer to that and then move on.
The same case with the CMMI also. If you want to make the process to be streamlined across the organization, you need to document.
Right.
And whether it is followed or not, to verify, there should be some type of evidence. That's where is the documentation part.
Perfect.
But the actual value out of the CMMI is when you have a process is in place, when you are following, you repeat the same process, you come to know what problems you faced in the past, you document, and you try to overcome from your lessons learned in the past, and what are the best practices you did in the past projects that can be followed in the future projects, and whatever the experiences you had in the past projects that will help you to implement in the future projects. Then it will more about a process driven approach. So CMMI will help you to improve your performance.
Right.
So the main approach, the value add is that it will help you to achieve your business objectives by setting a business objectives in the organization. To achieve those business objectives, you will be putting a right process in the organization. Having the right process is followed, you will be getting some implementation progress by monitoring through different set of metrics to measure those objectives. Are we achieving those objectives or not? We may not be achieving the first, right? But you will be fine-tune your process based on the implementation of the existing processes. And once again, you improve your process, and so it's all process driven. For all these things, you need to measure. Okay? So CMMI process framework will help you to define your objective and measure those objectives. And if you are deviating from the targets, put some action plan, and once again, you try to achieve those objectives. So the framework will give you to achieve the process performance-based approach to improve your process to achieve your business objectives of the organization.
Right. So now, based on your experience, okay, I'm sure the CEOs or the CTOs would have come with $1 million question on, apart from the certificate, what is the benefit as an organization we would achieve after this certification?
Yeah. See, actually what I say is certification is a byproduct of implementing the CMMI.
Right.
Certification is not the first thing. So when an organization is implementing the CMMI, first the benefit the organization is getting is, so they are more dependent on the process, independent of people, independent of tools. Okay. So in the current trend, as I mentioned, people keep changes. Every year resources are changing. We are not seeing a resources more than 1 year or 2 years. After gaining the experience, they keep moving for the new jobs and new companies. So, but as a CEO, you cannot reinvent the wheel every year.
So you mean to say that it's more process driven rather than people driven?
Yeah. So that is one thing. And when so it should not be like a heroic, like one person who is having
Managing the show. Yeah.
who is managing the show. If he left this thing, so that's what happens majorly in the hotel industry. Restaurants.
Okay.
If one chef leaves, that's it. So if the chef is leaving a restaurant, there may be change of taste. Okay, you may not be feeling the same type of taste. So there will be a fall of the business. So they will be struggling for some time once again to get the new person. So to avoid all these things, so for the software companies, they will have a process oriented. If you see like a lot of big restaurants who are actually sustaining, all their recipes are documented. They are followed irrespective of the chef.
All right.
That's how they are sustaining. See, the process is one thing which help you to successfully run the business.
Right.
Okay, that's the main thing of the benefit when it comes to it. Then the people, see what happens, what other benefits, the teamwork. See, it is not like one person is working on developing it. One person cannot completely develop a product. A developer will be there, a requirements analyst will be there, a designer will be there. So to do this, there is a team coordination required. Different stakeholders needs to be involved. Okay, the process helps like who should be involved what by type of time. They will review the process. So it will help you to reduce the rework. So first you got some requirements, you deliver something. At the end, if you are showing to the client these are the defects, that will be a lot of rework. CMMI helps to have a proper collection of requirements, proper review of the requirements to ensure then you implement it. So it helps you to reduce your rework and improve your quality and reduce your timeline to deliver the product.
Meaning, CMMI would also help me in predicting my deliverables.
Exactly. CMMI is one of the predictable models.
Okay.
Like in CMMI, we have levels. Okay. CMMI level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. A CMMI level 1 is initial. It's called initial. So the companies don't follow a complete process. They're more of ad hoc in nature. They have a basic set of practices are followed, or may not be complete set of practices are not followed in a CMMI level company. So it's more of a heroic nature works in those CMMI level 1 companies.
Right.
It's more of a person dependent.
Interesting. Now, since we have become more predictable, based on your experience, how do you think this would improve the customer confidence?
Yeah. See, the thing is, the same continuation of previous question, a level 5 company more talks about the predictive nature. A level 3 is all about the managed. Yes, you are learning from the past experiences and you are trying to improve. But a company of a level 4 or level 5, it's more of quantitatively managed. It is more of statistical driven.
Right.
You measure the performance of the processes in a statistical way. And you try to understand in the past projects how much effort you do to deliver so many function points of the project and how many defects are delivered. That will be bringing a model, process performance models you will develop in CMMI. That will help to bring the prediction. Okay, the process performance models helps to predict if 1,000 function point work we have to deliver, how much time it will take. Okay, with how many defects I can deliver, how many resources I need. These things we can predict by having a level 4 and level 5 practices of CMMI. So CMMI helps to develop the process performance models to bring the prediction into the organizational processes. It's 100% prediction based model which has got the process. For that you need to have your past history.
Right.
You need to measure statistically, you need to understand the variance of the process and you need to optimize the process to bring the prediction into the process.
Okay. In that case, say I'm a startup, I don't have past data.
Yeah.
So from where do I start?
See, startups. So CMMI is also prepared for the startups, not only for the bigger organization. Because the startups is having more fluctuations compared to a bigger organization. A bigger organization have stable resources because they can pay well. Okay, they have a good number of resources as a backup if one resource goes. Whereas the first startups are more of heroic nature. One or two key resources is there, it will be surviving. If they are not there, so even for startups, they need to put up with the first initial light process based on like how well they are gathering the requirements. They should document the requirements. They should baseline the requirements. Okay, then there should be a documented design. there should be a review of the design and having a consensus from the stakeholders on the design, and codes, peer reviews are needs to be performed. So the thing is, people will perform the code reviews, but nobody documents them. And if somebody documents, it can be used as a basis for the future peer reviews, so that you will not repeat. The rework will be reduced.
Right.
So even startups also is require a process like CMMI, which helps to repeat the process and reduce the rework, because startups cannot afford a lot of rework, and they cannot rebuild every time when a new resource left the organization. So it should not be in the mind of the resources. It should be documented. That's where, like, if someone will leave the organization, also you can continue this process in the organization.
Interesting thoughts on that. So now if we may move on to the implementation part or the adoption part, okay? Say I'm a cybersecurity managed services company, or I'm not into an software development organization, right? So from what phase should companies think about CMMI? When should they start thinking about CMMI, or how do they want to go ahead?
Okay. See, in practical, like a CMMI, when you are very young in the business, you may not be putting the efforts, but when you are seeing the growth challenges, when you are seeing some growth challenges, you are unable to handle so much work. So many companies, they are getting a lot of complaints, or customer complaints, or feedback, or there are some burning issues, late night works by the resources. Then there we see like a lot of reworks are happening. That's how a lot of, or there may not be a right plan. That's the reason there may be lost time works or firefighting happens in the project during the delivery times. It's all because of the mishappening in the planning and execution. So that time you should be focusing on implementing a formal implementation of a framework like CMMI, which helps you to streamline the planning, like estimations, how you plan, allocating the resources, you are scheduling the work, okay, and doing a right reviews so that you can reduce the rework. So to reduce all this firefighting thing, lot of rework, and it will reduce the stress to the employees, because people will be spending a lot of effort beyond the office timings because of these firefightings or complaints from customers.
Interesting thoughts.
So this is the time where you need to put a real effort on the CMMI.
Okay. So now that I have decided and I have finalized on putting my efforts towards implementation or adoption, okay, assume that I'm an early adopter from a startup organization or for a mid-sized organization. Could you explain to us how would the journey look like?
Yeah. See, a journey look like, for example, a small or mid-sized organization started implementing. Okay. First, we come and do the gap analysis. So first, because any organization will have some set of processes you may be following, maybe basic process. First, we'll come and do a gap analysis against the CMMI practices. So, what practices of the organization or what processes of the organization currently in line with the CMMI? We go through, it may be related to estimations or planning or monitoring, or it may be to the risk management or your software requirements gathering or design development coding. So across the practice areas of the CMMI for a software development company, we go through those gap analysis, and we bring the how many are complying with the current practices, what are the gaps. We put up the action plan to close those things. Then we help the companies in developing the processes, required templates and guidelines. Then the company has to train by just having a process developed like a chair. If you buy a chair and you can directly use it, the process is not like that. You have to train the people. Whoever is going to use this process, they should know what to be followed. The important aspect is what the companies don't do is a proper training. So people you need to train. Because somebody is working on the projects, but you are calling somebody else in working on the documentation to train, means that will not be helpful. We are supposed to use these design documents or requirements documents. You need to call the right people for the right trainings, and then after completion of trainings, you should be facilitate in implementation. You should do a hand holding in how to fill those documentation. So initially there may be little overheads you may be see while implementing this process, but over a period of time, it will be made part of their day-to-day activities. So once the documentation is there, so once the policy is not everybody will directly follow. There should be someone to watch them. So that's where we should put some internal auditors, whether the teams are following the process or not. So they will check whether this process is following or not, and they will report to the management or process groups about the compliance of the process. Then once these processes is not implemented, then the team's ACPG team or senior management will understand why this process is not followed. Is it a process very heavy, or is it not the right process to them, or they didn't understand the process. So accordingly they will take the actions. And after implementing all this process, management should use this data. Whatever the data is coming from the implementation, like projects are collecting a lot of metrics. This data has to be used for the decision making.
So when you say projects are collecting a lot of data, who validates these metrics?
Yeah. So there is a team. So first, who actually decides what metrics to be collected?
Right.
So senior management gives the business objectives, what we want to achieve this year.
So it's driven from the top. Right.
Senior management gives. Then there is a process group in the CMMI who is responsible in breaking down those business objectives into performance objectives. If a project means what type of measures they have to collect, what is the targets for those things. The project teams, like it may be a development project, maintenance project, or a help desk project, different type of projects will be there, and the metrics will be different from the project to project. So they will be collecting these metrics accordingly, and whatever the metrics is collected by the project teams, the quality person in the project, they validate whether the data is which is given by the project teams are right or not. Is it that integrity of the data is verified by them? Then SAPG team consolidates these things and they given back to the management. So these are the objectives. This is the current performance. Then management will intervene if any pitfalls or any lack of achieving the targets. They give the inputs. So it will be iterative journey.
Right.
Okay. So process will help you to improve, because in day one you cannot be achieving success, but based on the what are the pitfalls, what are the lackings, you will be putting the actions. From there you will overcome and you will be achieving the targets. That's the approach we have in the CMMI.
Nice to hear about the journey. You also brought in an interesting topic on the pitfalls. Could you probably, based out of your experience, talk us on the top 3 or the most recurring pitfalls that organizations encounter?
Yeah. See, the thing is, when the company decides we want to follow the CMMI, okay, first leadership should focus. Leadership should drive on this. They are the one who should give the business objectives. If leadership is not taking serious, it is given to some project teams, yeah, this is your objective, you need to complete, then that will be a pitfall. Because already project teams are doing some work on the development activities. So they think that this is the additional documentation,
Okay.
which we have to follow. But if we are not given with the right support from the management, like, okay, you need to be given with the appropriate trainings to them, why it is required to our organization. And management should make them to aware, like, this is not additional documentation. This is like a formal development activity.
It's a framework.
It's a framework. Like earlier you are doing code reviews, which are more of informal. As part of this, we are make it formal.
Okay.
Document what is your output of your code reviews, so that the other projects can use this one as input, so that they can improve their coding activity.
So meaning make it more streamlined and predictive and repetitive in nature.
So for that, first management direction should be there.
So that's the first pitfall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then what happens, like I was mentioning, process is not like a product which directly buy something from the market which you can use. So someone has developed some process. If you are using directly as it is in your organization, it may not be 100% suitable for you. So when the process is bulky, when it is not relevant to the projects, the project teams will not follow. There will be some resistance from the teams. So this is not the same as what we do. Just for the certification we are doing additionally. That's where they feel this is as a documentation activity. If they are not modified the process as per their activities, actual activities, just you are buying some existing process in the market and using as it is, that will not work out.
Okay.
Okay, that is the second one. And third one is we should be trying the people adequately. You are just having the process and you are not given adequate time to follow the process, and also you are not trained them on how to use this process, because initially there will be some overhead. You need to support them to put the efforts, to put your time sheet on understanding and learning this new process or templates. Then only they will follow.
Right. So these are the common pitfalls which you see.
Yeah, these are the very common things. Then apart from this, so people are collecting a lot of data. And you should use this data for taking the decisions.
Right.
Okay, project teams are taking like we are doing schedule variance of this much. We are having this much productivity. But if you are not using these metrics for planning the new activities or taking the new decisions, then project teams don't see this as a value add from them. We spent a lot of effort in generating these metrics or status reports. If decisions are not taken based on this, they don't feel this as a value add. So for that, management has to take this as an input for their decisions.
Okay, that's interesting.
And to make this process follow in the organization, always there will be some resistance. See, when there was no process, like for example, earlier, just like that, you can go to the airports. There was no security checks.
Yeah, decades back.
But when there was some issue happening, some threats, some hijacks was happening, then they started implementing the security checks.
Additional protocols.
Those things. Okay. Similarly, so at that time when you have additional checks are happening, you don't feel like people won't do any voluntary. Only with the force they are voluntary.
Okay.
Right? So here also, like when you are free to do anything, when there was no process, you're free to do anything. You don't need to document. Just you do some of your work and you go. But when we are putting some restrictions, you are making them accountable. You are making them to do some additional documentation. So there will be some resistance. So to avoid these things, there should be a proper education. There should be proper training to them, so that resistance will come down. Obviously, so for that, a proper hand-holding need to be done, a facilitation to be given to the project teams to perform these activities.
Right. With these inputs, say, assume that, as a management, we have given empowerment, we have given the team, we have given all the resources needed. So, typically, how long would it take for the organization to move from one level to another level?
Okay. So, this is a very interesting question. Like, see, the thing is, it depends from one organization to other organization.
Let's take a standard example of an IT company.
So, because a company with already a process culture is there in their organization, they will be adopting very quickly.
Right.
They may achieve a level 2 in 6 months.
Okay.
7 months. Okay. Or maybe 4 to 6 months if already they have a process culture is in place in the organization. Suppose a company wants to go to a level 3 and they are very new to the process. They may take 9 to 12 months.
Okay, that's almost a year now.
If already they have a process culture, they are following other process frameworks like some ISOs or something, they may achieve in 8 to 9 months.
Is that the quickest time frame you have seen?
Yeah, I saw around 9 months. 8 to 9 months is the quickest one I saw for a level 3.
For a level 3, from nowhere, from ad hoc to level 3 is what you're saying.
Because they are having some process culture and management support is there. Suppose to go a level 5. So first, companies cannot directly go to level 5. First, they need to be at level 3.
Okay.
So that there will be some process will be there, and at least 18 months of implementation of level 5 they will be having, because that's where you are converting the process implementation into statistical baselines, process performance baseline, and from that you are developing a models, process performance models. A company to go from level 3 to level 5, at least they need to wait 18 months.
You mean to say a lot of predictive models has to be defined
And a lot of, because they have to measure all the processes into the numbers.
Okay.
All into the numbers, statistics, and they need to analyze it, and they need to table the process.
Okay. Meaning it has to be quantitatively proven that these models are giving us a lot of return on investments.
Yes.
Exactly.
So to bring the predictability, you need to make the process stable, and you need to
Right. Perfect. So that sums up a lot in terms of we implementing and adopting. Okay. Moving on to the last phase. Okay. Where do you see the relevance of in the modern era? How do you see the relevance of CMMI sustaining and the futures? Okay. So first thing is, can CMMI coexist along with the DevSecOps or the Agile, which people have almost migrated from the traditional waterfall method?
Yes. See, CMMI is not only works for waterfall; it works for any life cycle.
Right.
Even CMMI has given the references for the as part of the CMMI model framework. You will always find the references for the Agile under DevSecOps. Okay, CMMI works for even the current industry, current development nature. So CMMI coexists with the Agile and DevSecOps. First, how it is? See, CMMI only tells about how to do, what to do.
Right.
It doesn't say how to do. See, Agile or DevSecOps, what is they are doing? They are automating the integration activities. Okay, for example, DevSecOps will take. So what DevSecOps they are doing? They are developing CI/CD pipelines and they are integrating the code. They are putting the pull request and push request and delivering and ensuring the build automation is doing and delivering the product. So the same thing was explained in a practice area called product integration.
PI.
That practice, what it says, first you establish what is the integration strategy you follow. Okay. You may do top-down approach, bottom-up approach, or whatever the current approaches as part of the DevSecOps, or in a manual way which you follow. It's up to you. But what it's saying, CMMI is, you should be having a strategy. What is the sequence you follow for the integration strategies? And it will say like environment. What environment you follow? Okay, the environment, it may be DevSecOps, or before DevSecOps, people used to put some scripts manually. They used to run manually some scripts to build a package. So it works even for the DevSecOps era or earlier the manual scripts era. Similarly, Agile practices. What Agile practices are saying? Earlier we used to have iterative.
Right.
Now, in the latest terms, we are converting that one into a sprints.
2-week sprint, 4-week sprint.
Earlier, in the iterative life cycle, we used to do the same thing. Like each module is doing one iterative. They are doing. So it may be in Agile practices or this CMMI supports. This coexists with all these practices, whatever the Agile practices. In the Agile, it may be a Scrum or Kanban. It supports for both, and even in the DevSecOps for delivery. It helps it automates some of it. See what CMMI says always is, do this activity. That activity you can do manual or you can automate. It's up to the organization. Earlier we don't have that automation technology. Now we have automated in many cases. That's where DevSecOps is coming. But still the process is the same. Underlying the processes are the same.
So when you say the processes are almost same, what kind of a cultural shift is required as a team?
Okay, so as a cultural shift, like as I mentioned earlier, like first leadership has to enforce that process. See, something when you are bringing new into the organization,
there will be a lot of resistance.
Will be. For that, you need to enforce. The senior management leadership has to give as an example. First, they have to follow the process. They have to, because in CMMI we have a practice area called governance. What a senior management has to do. So they have to set the guidelines like business objectives. They should form the teams. They should give adequate support in following the process. Okay, and not only that, management has to involve and monitor the progress also. To what extent they are performing, where we are. So for that, leadership is one thing, and the next thing is to make the people to aware. The shift is the process should be more of the day-to-day activities you need to write as a process, not something as a CMMI model practices you are writing as a process. You need to interpret the CMMI model practices into your day-to-day process. That's what not many organizations are not doing. We help the organizations to make the process to be more realistic to your day-to-day operations. You need to interpret the CMMI practices into your day-to-day activities.
Right.
Okay. Next, the management has to encourage to follow the process. If somebody is doing good, you need to do some encouragement. There may be some type of coupons or something you give to them. So
A motivational thing.
yes,
Okay.
some rewards.
Right.
At the same time, management has to do some punish people who are not following the process. Sometimes management should be hard to make the process to be followed.
So that's the most important cultural shift you see. Okay, that's from the management perspective. But from the implementation team's perspective, what could be the shift?
So the implementation teams, they need adequate training, as I was mentioning. First, they need adequate training to understand the process. Second, they are given with the right templates. And the team who is responsible in improving the process, they should take the feedback of the implementers. So people are implementing, they feel like this particular template is heavy or this is not working out to them. They should be able to do a analysis, what was the reasons people are complaining, and they should do modification. So without that, if you are not doing that changes, people will not implement with heart.
Right.
It's only just for the eyewash of the auditors, internal auditors, or for the purpose of the management, they do. But they will not follow with heart.
So the mind shift of a developer or a tester or a business analyst should obviously change so that they do the effective implementation.
For that, they should feel like this is helping. For that, your templates or process should be of realistic.
Okay, it shouldn't be a showstopper for them.
Yeah, for them, they should not feel like this is an additional activity I am doing.
So that's a major cultural shift which has to be inculcated
Into the organization.
Perfect. So now, having said all these parameters, all the cultural shifts, how do you think as a startup or as a smaller organization, CMMI would be a perfect fit?
Okay, see.
Or rather, if I may say, how is it practically helping me to streamline my business, which is more predictable in nature?
What many companies or organizations they do is they define one set of process. But they may be having different types of projects in the organization. There may be a small project of 1 month. There may be a project of 6 months. There may be a project of 2 years.
So it has to be now bucketized and
the same process should not be followed for every size of the project.
Complexity and the duration.
Okay. If you see like a 2 years project and a 2 months project is following the same process, same bulky process, the 2 months process, 2 months project team, they feel like more than the work, I'm doing more documentation. That's where people feel this as a documentation work. If a project is offered, so we have one beautiful practice in CMMI. It's called as tailoring guidelines.
Okay.
Means you need to tailor the process as per the nature of the work. So your process should be bucketized. If your project is very small, what are the minimum things you need? It's not like all the 10 is required for a big, small and medium. Okay? For a small size project, what are the minimum things are required? Based on the type of project. Some projects need to be delivered fast. Some projects need to be delivered defect-free. Okay? Based on that, you need to tailor what is required in this project, what is not required. Okay? Similarly, if it is a small, medium-sized project, what can be tailored? Like some things you may be client-provided tools it may be followed. Okay, in such cases, whether our internal templates or internal tools can be relaxed, but tailoring should be done appropriately. Then only project teams will feel like they are not redoing things.
Okay.
Okay, they feel like redundancy we are doing. Something we are doing same for the client, some same thing we are putting internally. So at that time, they have to approach the process group to tailor their process. Okay, for that, a right process is required, and even as startup companies also what you refer is, okay, the startup company may not be implementing a complete comprehensive process, but at a lighter note, what is required? Okay, planning, estimating, and adequate monitoring of the project, and a proper requirements gathering, and designing of that, and implementation and adequate validation activities. So these things are required. Then on top of that, whatever is required, any decision making. So you may be doing informal decisions initially, but over a period of time for major decisions, you can do a formal decision mechanism. So the thing is, you need to gradually increase the process for startups.
Okay, interesting.
Over a period of time, you will be seeing when an organization is growing. So when you start seeing at 100 employees, then you see like a lot of complaints are coming. If you start implementing at that time, already these 100 employees has got a freedom of implementing the process without any following the day-to-day activities without any process. When you started implementing after 100, there will be a lot of resistance in the organization. So once you cross like unmanageable size of the organization, by the time you should start gradually improving the process.
Nice to hear that. So now, what could be your piece of advice or recommendation to a CEO or a CTO who is coming and asking you for a CMMI solution?
Yeah. So our advice is like don't see like a CMMI as a certification.
Right.
You need to see the CMMI as a framework which helps to improve your organizational process and which you sustain beyond depending on any one particular or two resources. To make the organization independent of the resources or independent of the technology you want to sustain, you see this process is a repeatable implementation. Use the framework CMMI, right? That helps you to run the projects independent of the resource. Today one person is there, tomorrow one person is coming to do the same activity. We want to deliver the same product, same quality product. Ensure that you have a good processes in place. For that, a process should be aligned or documented based on your business nature, based on your working conditions or working style of the organization, and in line with the CMMI practices. And as a senior management, you have to be involved. It's not like it's only the development team who takes care of the certifications.
Right.
It's the involvement of the senior management. Senior management has to drive these things to make this process sustain in the organization.
So invariably, every other team member from the organization should contribute towards the journey.
Yeah, it's not just like only the development teams.
Right. So right, before we conclude, I would also like to hear your inputs on what could be the future of CMMI. Since now we have more evolving standards coming in, do you have some metrics on what kind of industries need CMMI or where is it heading to?
Yeah, CMMI, like any other model or standard or framework, CMMI is also a keep evolving. Earlier, like I was telling you in 1980s, it was called as only CMM.
Now it
has become CMMI. At that time, it was only for the development, then services, CMMI services. Now CMMI current version is 3.0. It has got even CMMI for security, CMMI for data, CMMI for people. We have earlier CMM people was separate.
Okay.
It's part of CMMI for people. Now totally we have 8 domains. CMMI for safety and security is there. So soon CMMI is also coming up with the AI mature.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
So CMMI artificial intelligence maturity model is coming. That will help. So CMMI framework is also evolving with the latest trends. As the industry changing, CMMI model is also changed. It is updating.
Okay.
And the CMMI is still is one of the premium
offerings,
which was followed across every year across the globe. Around 5,000 companies are going for the CMMI, and even like a major part is in chain. Around 70% of CMMI assessments or appraisals are happening in China.
That's interesting to know. It's a good fact.
Yeah, and around 10 to 12% is happening in the US, and around 10% is happening in India, and the rest of the world goes to a small percentage. But across the globe, CMMI was used and it was benefited.
Nice to hear, right. So thank you, Reddy, for joining today's podcast. We in fact did cover a lot of topics, right, from understanding the basics, now see how an organization should implement, go ahead, what are all the common pitfalls, and then the future of CMMI. Closing thoughts on this topic, or say what are the services we provide in terms of CMMI, and what should people know that, why should they reach out to us?
Okay. So closer thoughts is like a companies who want to sustain. Say now company They don't want to be like a 1 year startup or 2 year startup. They want to be grow as a organization such for 8 decades. So go for the standard frameworks like CMMI. So we provide trainings to understand the companies, what exactly is the CMMI, how it helps the organizations, and we provide the consulting from Provide Systems. We provide training, consulting, and implementation support, and we make them to sustain this process. We guide the internal teams, and we make them to sustain without the consultants. And we also perform assessments, CMMI appraisals. It's called as benchmark appraisal. We perform CMMI benchmark appraisals. From Provide Systems, we provide end-to-end services to the clients.
Right.
So as a lead appraiser myself, I did around 120 appraisals across the globe. So we have a vast experience not only on development, on software companies. We work with the banking sectors, we work with the engineering construction sectors, and we work with the IT, non-IT sectors. So we have wide experience, so you can reach out to us.
Interesting. Good to know that we have covered diversification, or you have reached out to various other domains. And you also brought an interesting topic on CMMI for data, CMMI for AI. I'd be more curious to talk about that maybe in the upcoming podcast.
Yes.
We will definitely do sessions on exclusive to AI or exclusive to data.
Sure.
Right? Thank you for joining today's session. It was quite insightful. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you for watching us with patience towards all the CMMI related discussions. Looking forward to joining us in the next set of discussion. Thank you.